Hey there, Mark. You back from camping?
Yes, I went out to Acadia National Park over in Maine.
Oh, I've
Um,
never been there. I've been to Maine, but I've not been to Acadia Park. Nice
it
time?
it's beautiful there. It's right on the ocean. There's lots of hiking, mountains, and there's even like one hiking trail where you like pretty much scale a mountain with like iron rods in the rock to like pull
Oi!
yourself up. It's
Oh,
intense.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And I've been to the Alps and I've seen that kind of thing. And I've even seen like iron built-in ladders that look scary as hell.
Yep, that's pretty much
Uh,
what we were doing at one point. Definitely didn't read the
wow.
description on that hike before we started it
Wow.
well enough.
Hey, well, you know what? We're here to talk some pickleball. I was away this weekend too, but let's get to our open and let people, know where they're at and that we're not at the, hiking international or something. Anyway, so let's talk some pickleball.
If it's pickleball in Canada, you found the podcast with Canadian pickleball players, pros, and addicts. Welcome to Pickleball Today, the podcast version of Pickleball Today.
Hey, welcome everyone. Patrick Batty, pickleball today, and my partner.
Mark Bitorf.
Hey, Mark. Yeah, good. I'm good to have you back from your vacation. I had my mini
Yes.
vacay as well with family. And you went east, I went north. I went up to my daughter's in-laws cottage up in Muskoka. Had a wonderful 3 4 day 3.5 day, I guess, vacation with them on wonderful Gloucester pool. And it is, honestly, it's beautiful. I love going there. I go there maybe twice a year for a couple days. This time a little bit longer. I guess it was 2.5 days, not 3.5. But
Nice,
anyway, we had a
nice.
great time boating,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
campfires, uh, sing songs, marshmallows, and also I discovered a pickleball club there
Yes, I
that
saw
I
some
did not.
pictures of this new
Yeah, yeah,
club. Yeah.
yeah.
Was
So a big shout out to the people in Honey Harbor, Ontario. What they have built a public facility pickleball club there. Gee, the name escapes me now. It was like
I think it's
Resolution
Rendezvous Park, was
Rendezvous.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rendezvous Park, and six wonderful outdoor courts, Acryl or whatever, like a nice quality, high quality court. Acrotech, is that how it's pronounced? Um, anyway, six high quality courts separated, a kind of a runway down the middle between them all. So you have a walkway that is totally separate, fenced, so that is, like chest level or so.
Yep.
Just one of the most high quality public facilities, and by public I mean free facilities I've ever seen. Um, I played at one in Newport Richey in Florida, but that was four courts outside, I believe it was. But anyway, this was nice, and that was done with public contributions. And a friend of mine, Rob Kurzmanich, who is a team owner with the CNPL and a player, senior pro player, told me about this last year. And I think it opened last year. I think it was maybe late in the year. I don't know. I can't remember for sure. But he told me about it last year. I'd never seen it. It's probably 10 kilometers from the cottage I go to, if that, maybe less. And what a wonderful place, but also what a testament to public fundraising to get a community to agree to do something. And then government, in this case, they also had government grants as well.
Yeah.
Wow, something we should all learn, like Cambridge. uh, Cambridge, Ontario, where I live. We still have, yeah, more facilities, but mediocre. We only have no more than two courts in any one particular place, and they're
Yeah.
old
I
courts that have
Yeah, I was gonna say having
old.
the six courts in one spot makes a huge difference of building that
Yeah,
social atmosphere and bringing people together. Two
yeah,
courts, like it's hard to go to a place with only 2 courts because you never know if how long the wait's going to be and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like if you can get on, but like six
And
is a
tough to have a
solid
tournament,
number.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And if you wanted to hold a tournament, you couldn't. Definitely, they could have
yeah.
tournaments at that one. Anyway,
Hmm.
Honey Harbor, Ontario. If anybody's in that area, check it out. Wonderful place, and
Hmm.
congratulations to those folks.
Yeah.
And next time I'm there, all of us will be playing. Well, they've got paddles, but they didn't bring them. They didn't know about the court until they were there. And I didn't bring mine. It was just a weekend away from pickleball. Next time
Which
it
is
will
good
be.
to have, every once in a
Yeah.
while, take
Oh,
a little
yeah.
break, rest the body, let everything, all the little
Yeah.
ailments or
Yeah.
whatever you have heal up a bit. But
Yeah.
how about
So hey,
we?
glad that we're
Yeah,
back. Though this feels good. I'm happy to give it. It's nice that we get to talk about what we're doing and what we love. And we've had a big expansion to our audience over the last couple of weeks. So welcome to everyone. I'll introduce our podcast to you very quickly because a lot of people have seen it. Basically, Pickleball Today, the pod is tied to our website, pickleballtoday.co. We cover a lot of Canadian pickleball, but we've been covering a lot of U.S. pickleball recently as well, and even now a little bit of international, as we'll talk about today. We talk about paddles. I'm a paddle geek. I don't know, Mark. You probably strike me as not so much of one. You're just a really good player, but
yeah,
am I getting you geeky now?
yeah. You're getting me into the geeky side of the paddles recently.
Well, I don't
I
play great, so I might as well be a
yeah,
paddle geek, thinking that every paddle's going to make me better.
yeah.
But you know what? Some do. Some do make me better.
Oh
And
yes, yeah. It's
yeah,
surprising when you play with a different paddle. Like I can tell the difference on like top spins and stuff
yeah,
like that. The more spin, the more power, the pop. Like it is
yep,
recommended. I would say to definitely ask your friends at the courts to try their paddle
yeah.
out once in a while because you'd be surprised how different some of these paddles can be.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Hmm.
Now, last week we talked about a little bit about bread and butter pickleball. They have four paddles, and they are four completely different. Well, actually, they got some older line too that I don't really know much about. But the four kind of current ones out that have come out over the last year, four completely different personalities. But boy, all really, really, really good paddles.
Hmm.
And I've now played all four, and I got to decide which is my main one because
Yeah.
they do play very differently. I don't want to I don't want to be shuffling back and forth as much when in
Yeah.
my
No, no. If
competitive
you
play.
do want to get better, you do have to stick to a paddle for at least 2 weeks to really understand it and get the touch down. I would say
Yeah,
so. And ideally, if you
yeah,
got any sort of tournaments or anything coming up, like you want at least 2 weeks with that paddle. Ideally for you, Pat, you probably should stick to a paddle for like 2 months and then switch it up and maybe something like that.
yeah,
Try that.
yeah.
Um,
I've noticed like I've been switching a lot just by
yeah.
testing things. I should mention to folks, by the way, thank you for joining us. We got a few topics we're going to talk about today, as well as these paddles we mentioned. Joola has just come out with one again. We'll talk about that briefly. Mark has a pretty nice coaching tip that we'll talk about in about 3 minutes. We've got more paddle giveaways to discuss, and also how to get the paddles from us if you happen to be one that's going to win one. We're talking PPA, the PPA and UPA that owns PPA, Pickleball Central, Major League Pickleball and stuff, going international, including up here in Canada. Let's see. I guess generally about it. So I'm hoping we'll be around no more than 30, 45 minutes. We tend to always be a little bit longer. So anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. So let's mention, yeah, we were just talking about those bread and butter pickleballs, bread and butter paddles. The Fat Boy, which is one I did a review on the other day, and my reviews tend to be more about play than specs. Um, I'm not a big graphic guy, to be honest, and specs you can find on the company's website all the time. Everybody seems to want to put them into the video, but rather I can read them to you, or you can look at them, or I can include them. I don't need to read them to you. Basically, everybody pretty much is okay with reading a few specs. But The Fat Boy that I was talking about literally sold out in 3 minutes. Holy jeez. So lots of people didn't get one that wanted one. Now part of the reason is they're putting them out in batches of 250. And there's probably, I don't know how many people promote them, but well, I don't know. But there's about 6 or 7 videos on YouTube, or including ours. But anyway, sold out real fast. But what they're doing is they're having a new batch out every week. And so the next batch is out on the 30th of July at 1 p.m. Eastern time. So that's the Fat Boy. If anybody wants to check it out through us, it's or any of their paddles, it's bnbpickleball.com bnbpickleball.com, and then use our code PB today, pickleball today, PB today, and you're going to get 15% off. Again, and some of their paddles are available now. Some others aren't. The Fat Boy was sold out. But I've tried the others though, and they're all pretty hot. So
Yes.
I like them.
I like that Shogun one. That's my favorite.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And I played that the other day. Again, I've had great days with it. I've had ones where I was hitting a little too hard with it, and that if that doesn't mean it's a bad paddle, that means I got to settle down and adjust.
Yep.
Right. But boy, yes, it does have some power. And also, by the way, the Filth has a lot of power.
Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Nice.
So the Filth, the Loco, and the Fat Boy, they're all good paddles. We'll be doing more video reviews of the other 3 coming up. And I do like their products. I do like their marketing, and their price is not as high as some others. And speaking of other paddles, Mark, Joola, right? And
yes.
You remember all the
drama
stuff
around their paddles recently?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a lot, right, with the Gen 3s getting rejected, etc. So they have now, there was a paddle called the Alpha that they came out with, and that was approved by the US APA. And a lot of current pros are still playing the Alpha. And then when they came out with the Gen 3, we're not going to rehash the whole thing, but it got eventually fairly quickly rejected. But lots of people bought it, got refunds, etc. Anyway, what they have done now is come out with a production version of what appears to be the Alpha that was approved. And it's a mouthful. It's called the Perseus 16 millimeter Mod TA-15 Pro Player Edition. It just flows off the tongue.
Yeah.
But it's if you want power, that's a powerful paddle. That's what the pros were doing after the Gen 3 was rejected. This is the production version of it. It's available for pre-sale, but and I assume it's been approved. I don't think Joola's going to go through that whole thing again. We don't have one. We can't review it, but effectively, it's like it appears to be, from the videos and their marketing of it, a lot like the Gen 3. Speculation is maybe just a little less foam. But in their marketing of it, the interesting thing is they still talk about the trampoline effect. They still show the foam around the edge. And they're just right there. It's like almost they're trolling USAPA. Okay, this is legal, but we're still doing what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
It's funny, but it's probably a really cool paddle. It's expensive though. It's $279 US, and that worked out to, I just checked it, like $384 Canadian.
Whew.
But if that's your paddle buy of the year, fair enough. Whatever.
Yeah.
Popular brand, obviously, just like Selkirk.
Interesting. Yeah. Quick question for you there, Pat. What do you think?
Sure.
Are people going to buy the pre-sale after having such a debacle with the last one and having to return it and get refunds? Do you think the pre-sale numbers are going to be high, or are they going to be low? People want to wait on this one.
Boy, it's an interesting question, isn't it? They sold so many of the first one.
Yeah.
Not everybody returned the first one. Some kept them. We've seen some at our club, right?
Yep.
And I don't think this pre-sale is going to be as big as the last one, obviously, which was
Yeah.
the biggest sale in paddle history. And maybe I remember seeing some people said, "I'll never buy from you again," et cetera,
Yeah.
et cetera. But
Well, they've
people
lost
get
the trust
extreme
in
and
them.
caught up.
Yeah.
Yeah, people get caught up in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think they'll sell a lot. I think they'll sell a lot. I mean, but
Yeah.
that's a cop out on my point. A lot for Joola is a lot, and
Yeah.
and it would be more than any of our mainstream, the other kinds of companies that we typically talk about.
Yeah.
They're such a big worldwide brand, right? And we a lot of times are dealing with a little bit more niche companies, but that are very, very, very inventive. As I talked about, we've talked about 6-0 a lot. We've talked about now just bread and butter recently. Um, and their volumes are getting up there, but they are nothing compared to Joola.
Yeah.
So as much as I love the other guys, they'll be out there, and they, I assume are a very wealthy company with all their stuff going on. And plus the lawsuit, if they win from the
Oh,
USAPA,
yeah.
I think that was 200 mil.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's just something to look out for. It's out there for pre-sale. I'm not buying one. We got so many paddles. We're going to be
Yeah.
giving some away. We'll talk about that after your coach's tips. But the last thing I need is to go out and buy a $400 paddle to check it out, and they haven't sent us any. So if they want to, fine. I don't know if they do that very often. I know they do with some.
Yeah.
If they do want to, would love to try it. I'd love to try it. I'm sure you would.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
But we'll see. So anyway, want to switch over to you, Mark, and you've got some interesting coach's tip. This is one that you taught me about a while ago.
Yeah.
And I'll just let you take over, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, before we do, let me put in a word from... No, we'll do a sponsor check later on, okay? Because we talked about the Fat Boy paddle anyway. So we'll take it over to you right now, okay?
All right. Yeah, so I've taught Pat this, I call it the 5-minute tournament warm-up. I start every lesson with this warm-up. It's the best warm-up out there to work on every shot before you get into a lesson, before you get into a game. And it's good to try to test yourself if you can actually get it done in 5 minutes. You'd be surprised how quickly 5 minutes goes when you are doing a warm-up. And the idea is to simulate that tournament, because a lot of times if you're starting in tournament play, you only get 5 minutes, and they want to keep games rolling, and they're really pushing you to get started. So this is a quick 5-minute warm-up that I like to just teach everybody and just go over, make sure they understand how to get every shot they need to in 5 minutes. So first minute we spend dinking. And that when we're dinking, we're not just doing that simple dink straight on, straight back. We want to move our partner around. We're trying to work as a team. So I do angles, kind of like a figure 8 when you're doing your dinking. Just working a little forehand, little backhand. Next, we move on to drop shots. So 1 minute of drop shots, and you start at the kitchen line, and every time you hit a drop shot, you take one step back, another step back till you get to the baseline. At the baseline, you do a couple drop shots, and then you move all the way back into the kitchen line again, and then you let your partner do it as well. They go back all the way to the baseline with their drop shots and come back up. The idea is you're getting, I don't know, maybe 10 drop shots in or so each, and we're just working from different angles on the court. Third, we move into fast hands. So both of you at this point are standing at the kitchen line after doing the drop shots. So we like to do fast hands, which is essentially just volleys out of the air, and we're just working on control. We start off a little slower, and then we try to quickly, give our partner some quick shots so they are ready for a hands battle at the net once game time starts. After a minute of that, we move into ground strokes. Since we're currently both standing at the kitchen line, every time each one of us hits, we take one step back till we both get at the baseline, and then we're taking our big swings. I want big swings, aiming for that baseline to baseline type shot. And the idea is just getting the muscles warmed up, the arms, everything going with big swings so we're ready to go and we don't feel weird once the game starts. And then final, we do serve and return. So essentially, My partner does 3 serves. I return them back to them. They serve a 4th time. I catch the 4th serve, and then I serve 3 times to my partner, and they return back, and then we end it just like that. And all 5 of those different shots essentially take about 5 minutes on. Now, as a team, as a partnership, you could just do 30 seconds on dinking and you want to spend a minute and a half on drop shots. You can definitely modify it to however you want, depending
Right.
on what you feel that you need to work on more to get warmed up. But that's something you and your partner should do before every game. Rec games, that's the best time to practice. I know at our club we have an hour and a half bookings. So when you first get there, if everybody does this 5-minute warm up and then gets into their games, everybody should be good to go at that point, which I like to see. The last thing I'll just emphasize is even on ground strokes and drop shots, make sure you are hitting some to backhands. A lot of times I'll just see people warm up. I'll be standing at the club and I'll just watch people warm up, and every shot is forehand to forehand. The entire warm up. Nobody
Wow.
ever wants to warm up their backhand. And that's the spot where we should target, because I tell everybody to target everybody's backhand because nobody ever warms it up. So
I think I'll admit I haven't done this all the time, even since you taught me, because sometimes the people you're warming up with, they just want, I think it's funny that the average warm up now maybe in tournaments, I think in tournament play, people would be doing this because they're generally experienced enough, or at least something like this. But in rec play, it's like, let's go dink for 5 minutes and then play.
Yeah, that's all they do.
and then in rec play, they hardly ever dink.
Yeah, they just smash the ball
It's
at
like,
each other. They just whack it. And it's just like,
Yeah,
why we
let's
warm up dinking if we're not even going to dink?
exactly. Yeah, it's kind of funny. And I don't mean high level rec play, but boy,
Yeah.
you see it a lot. And
Yeah.
I've been guilty of it. It's like, okay, I want to play, right? Let's kind of unofficially say we're warming up, and then
Yeah.
let's play. And then immediately, if it's my serve, I put one right into the net.
Exactly.
Like I'm notorious as a slow starter.
Yeah.
I am notorious as a slow starter, including in tournaments. So more of this kind of a full game warm up.
Yeah. Essentially, it is a
could
full
help
game.
this,
Yeah.
right?
And that's why I teach
Yeah.
everybody in the lessons, because it's starting to
Yeah.
spread in our club, at least. Is I have noticed even during rec play, some of the ladies I've given lessons to, they're like, "Oh, let's do our 5-minute warm up first." Like, and it is starting to spread. And that's
Good.
anybody that's
Good.
that wants to see some improvement in their game. You got to start with the warm up and practicing, and you'll feel
Right.
better in your first game if you have went through these 5 steps essentially.
Yeah. No, I love it, Mark. Hey, you have this written out, I assume, right?
Oh yeah.
Can you send it to me, and we'll send it
For sure.
out to all the people on our email list?
Oh yeah, sure. Let's do that.
Yeah. We might as well. It's the least we can do. We appreciate you being on the email list, and we'll do other things like that as well. But I love
Now,
it.
Pat,
And
how
if
do people get on the email list if they want to get a copy of this? How should they get on it?
if you go to pickleballtoday.co, there generally will be a pop-up, but I am actually going to also create a specific page that'll be in the menu as well. So for now, the pop-up is there. If you don't see it, give me a day or so, and we'll have it on as a specific page on the website. Again, it's pickleballtoday.co. I don't know if it'll show up behind me. Probably does on that banner. When it goes full, we're seeing it in half screen right now, but as I'm talking, it should go full screen. And again, I'll set up a specific page as well, and then we could even send that as the first email out when people opt in.
Perfect.
Something like that. So I like the drill. It's only gonna help all of us. Now, maybe people know it. That's fine. But anyway, pickleballtoday.co is where you're gonna opt in to get if you want to get on the paddle giveaways and things like that as well. So, which we will talk about in a few minutes. But I think that's pretty much it on that Mark. I love it. I think it's. We got to switch away from this. Let's go, 20 dinks, I'm warmed up. Well, first of all, I'm an older guy. 20 dinks, I may be sweating, but that doesn't mean my hamstrings are warmed up. That doesn't mean my shoulders are warmed up. I got to do more than that. Now I definitely do some stretches before I even do anything, especially in my groin and hamstrings, because that's where hamstrings especially is where I get tight. But I think we even have videos on our website about a nice warm up, beyond more of a stretching type warm up. There's an article on there about
Nice.
that as well, so
Perfect.
people can look at it. Okay, so let's do a quick intro. Again, I'll talk about one of our sponsors, and that being crownpickleball.com. Crown Pickleball is just a great company, high quality, pro level balls at rec level prices. I love them. They are very good. They're very affordable. If you're in the States, you can just go to Crown Pickleball, use our code. I got to double check what that is. Sorry, it'll be in our show notes. If you use our code, you get a nice discount, free shipping, and things like that. So good quality balls. They actually just sent me some other ones. They've got lots of different colors. They've got indoor, outdoor, and they even have a black one, believe it or not, which they say in real bright light, like maybe Arizona, is kind of like a pretty effective ball. Well, we could try it at our court
Yeah, I
too. I've
want to
got
try
some.
out that black ball. I've never
Yeah,
played with a
yeah.
black
I mean,
ball,
it's
so
different, huh?
yeah.
So we'll put the link in the show notes. I said if you're in U.S., you can order whatever you want. In Canada, because they actually cover the shipping and duty, it's bulk orders only. So 100 balls, split it with a bunch of people, buy it for your club, whatever. They're a great company, great fun. I saw them at out in San Clemente a few weeks back. They were there in force. They weren't at Major League Pickleball. I saw a guy wearing a Crown Pickleball shirt, but I didn't see any of the guys from there. But anyway, I'm sure they don't get to every tournament, but they are a very good quality ball at really affordable prices. So, okay, let's talk about paddle giveaways. So, over the weekend, again, I did a review on the bread and butter pickleball. I said we're going to give away a paddle. I didn't specifically say that paddle, although a few people assumed I was doing that. Right now, I love that paddle. So that's not what I'm giving away. But people are going to get a pro level paddle like any of the ones on the wall behind me. Some new, some are, there may be some that are demos if the company allows us to give away a demo. Some companies don't, so we want to stay within our rules. Some may be one that simply we test it out, okay, and for our reviews. So, but you're going to get a paddle. In most cases, they're worth $200 plus, and in some cases $300. So in order to opt in, you're going to want to go to pickleballtoday.co, opt into our email list. And if you're not subscribed to our podcast, either through your podcast hosting that you use or through YouTube, go to our channel, Pickleball Today. I think it's called Pickleball Today Canada, but again, we talk other stuff. Go to our channel and just make sure you subscribe, like a few videos. The more contact with you that we have, the better, and we will be picking out of all of those people. If you add people to our groups or invite people and they come in too, they're obviously going to be eligible, but so will you even more. So anything we can do to help build our followers and email list and, subscribers, great. And we're going to reward people every month. Minimum one paddle a month, but quite often two. We're getting a lot of paddles. We can't keep them all. There's no reason for us to keep them all. And yet, in some cases, they've been used once, twice, or whatever. So let's give them out to the people that are helping us out, and we appreciate it. So again, go to our website, pickleballtoday.co. Opt in when you see the email opt-in. Again, there will be a special page there in the next couple of days. If not, there should be a pop-up that will come up. And so that's it for that. Or subscribe to the podcast in one place or the other. When we reach out with the winners, it will be via email. So we have to have you on our email list in order to reach out. So thanks very much, everybody. And, you help us, we help you, and that's about it. So next topic, PPA.
Yes, they
First
made
of
a big
all,
announcement.
they did.
Big
You
announcement.
watched some of the tournaments, right, Mark?
Oh yeah, yeah. I like
Yeah.
watching the
Now, have
PPA.
you been to
Yeah.
any or no?
No, I haven't actually never
No,
actually been to a PPA tournament. Yeah.
no. You've been now. I know you've been to the U.S. Open in Naples.
Yeah, yeah. Been to some
Yeah.
stuff down in
No.
Florida, but I like the tournaments down there. Big groups.
Yeah.
Crazy how many people they
Yeah.
get out at the tournaments down in Florida compared to what we get out here in Canada. But
Oh yeah.
we're growing here as well. We're starting to
Yeah,
get
we
some
are.
bigger
Oh
numbers.
man. Oh, we
Yep,
we sure are.
yep.
Anyway, so I went to Cincinnati last year. I was at Major League Pickleball last weekend. Had a great time. Worked hard. I don't know. Have we had a podcast since then? I think we did, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we.
yeah,
Just like I'm a little bit still fried out.
yeah,
We did that travel. We went to the cottage. I
yeah,
know we did a podcast just beforehand. That's right.
yeah,
So, so when I go, it's like I'm, meeting players, talking, photos, all that kind of stuff with a press pass. Um, but I also like going as a fan. In fact, the next one that I go to, I may be going as a fan instead of a
Oh,
press.
nice.
Yeah,
Um,
they're very affordable.
yeah,
It's an affordable thing.
yeah,
There's a bunch coming up. The next one closer to us is New York,
yeah.
which will be a great tournament, but it's also in Manhattan. So we know travel to
Ooh,
Manhattan's a little
yeah.
expensive. But
So, Pat, of these 5 international dates set for 2025, any of them interest you on traveling to?
well, first of all, I didn't even get into that. So PPA announced last week, I think it was just the day before I went away or you went away, that they're having 5 international tournaments. So they're kind of they're calling it the International Series, and they've announced a tournament in the basically Australia Pickleball Open, the
Hmm.
India Pickleball Open, the Canada Pickleball Open, and they're also going to have one in Asia and in Europe. They just haven't announced the location for those. Pretty interesting tournaments. They will have lots of I guess they have 150 players signed to PPA and or Major League Pickleball or both. I'm not 100% sure how the numbers add up from that. And there will be a bunch of players from them, but they're also going to have local players, which is really exciting, right?
Yeah, it's
Um,
a great way to
we know
grow
we
the
hear,
sport there. And those
yeah,
places
exactly.
is having the local players be able to come in and they can see the pros live and, build the
Yeah,
interest up. I'd be like, if I was
absolutely.
in Australia or India or anywhere, I'd be like, oh man, this is awesome. If I was a local player
Yeah,
there.
yeah, exactly. Hey, and before, if I travel to one, I'll go to my local one. We're going to have one in Toronto. That's going to be
Yes.
next September. First of all these all these tournaments are in 2025. They've announced that now because there's a lot of logistics involved and things like that. It'll be in Melbourne, Australia in January, Mumbai, India in February, Toronto, Canada, real close to us in September, and then Asia tournament will be wherever it is in October, and Europe also in October. So there's going to be, it's almost like starting to get PPA into like a world. I don't know. This is speculative on my part, but almost like a world tour, kind of like, ATP or WTA or, like more of a global
Yeah.
tour than just a US tour. I think,
Yeah.
other than it, that may not be their dream. I don't know, but it's expanding the game. If I was to go to one
Yeah, we'll take out Toronto. We'll
beyond
take out Toronto.
Toronto,
Obviously,
well,
you're
first I
going to
used to live
Toronto.
in.
Where are you
Yeah, I'll be
going?
going to Toronto. We'll be all
Yeah.
over Toronto. We'll cover it. We'll
Yeah.
we'll make sure
I'm
we get our
gonna
press
try to
passes.
play in it if I can.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because yes, regular players can play,
Yeah.
and also though they will be bringing in the local pros from, I assume, the different tournaments is kind of when I read their press release.
Hmm.
So in Canada, that's the CPA Pro Tour and CNPL. I haven't talked to those fellows. I know them very well. I haven't talked to them yet because of trying to take some time off. But there's going to be some level of coordination between one or the other of those and the PPA Tour. Uh, if I was to go to one, I used to live in Australia, so and I love it, but been there, done that. I've never been to India. I
Oh,
would,
okay.
I would, I mean, that would be for me, that would be a fascinating one. And then I have been to Europe a lot, and I've traveled Asia a lot with one of my jobs in the past. But we'll see. It just depends where they end up shaking out. Sorry about the quick transition here from the topic. We were talking about the PPA and the tournaments and where we would go and things like that. We actually had a technical glitch as we were doing that discussion. Rather than start from scratch, what I'm doing is just recording the conclusion of our podcast by myself. Ran out of space, I guess, or something in our podcast recording software. And it ends up, we had Mark's conversation, not mine. It records on each end. Mine, I guess my computer was full or something. I don't know. We figured it out. So what I'm going to do is just add our conclusion to the thing. Again, I would probably like to do the India tournament. I kind of wonder how it would go for the players. I mean, I'm not sure how many of their 150 players will be going. Maybe it's just a sample. I do not know. Will they cover the expenses for the players? I do not know. I'm not 100% sure if they do now. There was talk about that when that whole player battle, or what do you call it, tour wars was on. But once they merged, I don't know exactly what the current status is. Anyway, good news though, that pickleball is spanning the world. We already have a PPA series in India. We have one in Australia. In Canada, we have CPA Pro Tour and CNPL that mirror PPA and Major League Pickleball. And then Europe's been having lots of tournaments. The rest of Asia has tons of pickleball now too. So it's really nice that it's starting to get a little bit more coordinated on a global level. I think that's just great for the game, and really, really great for the game. And it might shake up what's going on in North America too, because these players can only be to so many tournaments. But we'll see. That's yet to be seen. Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining us this week. Reminder, we're going to be giving away paddles, as we said. Go to pickleballtoday.co, opt in there. It may bring up a pop-up, or we'll have a special page as well to make sure that it's visible on our menu. Also, if you subscribe to the podcast, or if you see this one and you haven't subscribed, click subscribe. We'd love to get more comments about what we're doing, and if they're appropriate. Again, we were kind of on a stream of talking pretty much only Canadian type topics, but we're seeing now that about 2/3 of our listeners are in the U.S. So we're going to generalize it a little bit more than we are, even though we are a national news site for pickleball in Canada. The game is the game, and the way we play and the paddles we use and the etiquette and the health issues and the training and all that's the same regardless of where you are in the world. So wherever you are, you're welcome to join us. We may talk a little bit of a Canadian topic, but as well, because that's how we've started. And we appreciate you joining us, though. So thanks again. Hit that like button. Leave us a comment. If you can, subscribe, whether it be on YouTube or whatever podcast player you're hearing or hearing it on, I guess. And we'll see you again next week. All the best. Patrick Batty, Pickleball Today. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Pickleball Today, the podcast version of Pickleball Today, Canada's national pickleball news source. Pickleball, obviously, is our passion. And no matter what it is, if it's happening in pickleball in Canada, we're your premier source to bring it all to you. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. Find our website at pickleballtoday.co. On Facebook at PCKL Ball Today. On Instagram at pickleball_today. On YouTube at Pickleball Today Canada. And on Twitter at Pickleball Today. See you next time.